quite a few other actors were at this kind of
the end of their rope.
Yeah, this stopping point where they're like, I either need to quit acting, it's not working, too many rejections, or in a place of sort of emotional like despair and like, am I on the right path? Am I supposed to be doing this career? Or, you know, and then it happens, and then you know, this show happens, and at first you just think, I mean, for me, I was like, oh, this is going to be 4 episodes and then that's it, and you know, you hope it's going to be something long term and you know, going out into the world, but it's been this just lovely surprise after surprise of feeling like there is clearly this demand for it, because people are seem to be very hungry for this show and for stories about Jesus that are authentic and realistic and relatable.
Guys, is this your first time in the Netherlands?
Yes, for me.
I have flown in here before and then drove away the same day, so I didn't really get a chance to be here.
Yeah, how do you like it?
It's lovely.
Yeah,
yes, everyone's so sweet, and the buildings are gorgeous. There's so much history here.
Yeah.
Nice to hear. You have already had some interviews, and I was wondering, is there something you haven't talked about yet that you would like to elaborate on?
It's a really good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I think the thing that I am most excited about with the show is, you know, it's expanding out into the world at this really rapid rate. There's been this whole new change. We have a Come and See Foundation and a new app, the Chosen app, and because of it, they're, I think, translating into many more languages than we already do. And so like I'm so excited about like this next stage of the show being able to be available and accessible to like as many people as possible. Yeah. And so that's been something that I haven't been able to really talk about, but I'm very excited about.
Yeah, because I heard something about a couple of 100 languages already. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then now more.
Way more, yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. So about your roles, Elizabeth, you're playing Maria of Magdalena. How did you prepare for this role?
You know, when I first booked it, I was about to quit acting, and I was not expecting this at all, and I was in a depression and at a very low point in my life. And so when I read the script, I was unfortunately connecting very deeply to the Lilith portion of her, because when we first meet her, she is possessed by demons and drinking herself numb and suicidal and just in this sort of place of despair. And I was connecting with a lot of those feelings in her, and so unfortunately I was able to like use some of that to play those scenes, and it ended up feeling so cathartic, and like it was almost this vehicle to like let go of a lot of that. And then of course she has this transformation, this redemption, and because of that I feel like I've also been able to have this like new start in life, and I finally feel like there like really beautiful things can happen in this world and in this life, and there's just like this new sense of hope. So in many ways I feel like at first I was using my own life for the character, and now this character is inspiring and influencing me. And so I'm just grateful that I get to sort of follow her lead in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah, I've seen these scenes, and it was pretty intense and maybe a bit grim even. And I wanted to watch the episode with my wife, but she was a bit hesitant because she's pretty high sensitive in some things. So what would you say to people that maybe are a bit, or Christians that are hesitant because of the directness or
I mean, it is an overwhelming episode. It can be very dark, and I think we are used to seeing that in other media from Hollywood, and these sort of scary stories that are meant to scare, that are meant to sort of overwhelm. But in this show, those moments are meant to just show us where someone is in their life, and show the complete contrast of where that same person is after they've met Jesus. So like there's a purpose for those scenes instead of, they're not meant to scare you, they're meant to see that if somebody who is in this complete despair and fear and you know, I don't know, just the darkest place possible, how if they can be changed, then so can anyone, you know? So I think there's something very hopeful in that.
Yeah, it benefits the realness of it, so to say, maybe. You play little James.
Yes.
You have a interesting background story. Your grandfather is a famous actor as well.
Yes, yes.
Can you tell me about the way you got this role and what led up to it?
Sure. I mean, I started acting when I was 6 years old, and it's funny, the first role I played was a character that had a disability. It was Tiny Tim. And now I'm playing Little James, which was the only other character I played that has a disability. And I just made that connection. So sorry, I'm kind of like making all these realizations with that. But anyway, I started when I was 6, and I realized that this is what I wanted to do with my life. And from that moment forward, I put all my eggs in that basket, and it was hard. You know, there were decades of just nothing really happening, not gaining any traction, getting things here and there, but not really being fulfilled as an actor. And a lot of insecurities building over that time for a number of different reasons. A lot of shame and embarrassment were associated with my disability. And I felt like I was given this passion and a gift for acting, but I was also given a curse that would prevent me from ever being able to do it. And that really hurt, and I was really angry about that. And it took a while, but then The Chosen came about, and at the time I hadn't booked an acting job in like 5 years. It was just rejection after rejection after rejection. And, you know, thankfully, that wasn't the case with The Chosen. And, here we are today.
Yeah, it seems that all you actors have this amazing background stories that led up to the role that you play. Is that a divine intervention, or how do you explain that?
I don't know if we can explain it, but that might be an explanation. Quite a few other actors were at this kind of
the end of their rope.
Yeah, this stopping point where they're like, I either need to quit acting, it's not working, too many rejections, or in a place of sort of emotional like despair and like, am I on the right path? Am I supposed to be doing this career, or you know? And then it happens, and then you know, this show happens, and at first you just think, I mean, for me, I was like, oh, this is going to be 4 episodes, and then that's it. And, you know, you hope it's going to be something long-term and, you know, going out into the world. But it's been this just lovely surprise after surprise of feeling like there is clearly this demand for it, because people seem to be very hungry for this show and for stories about Jesus that are authentic and realistic and relatable.
Yeah, and when I think about the set, are you guys praying together on the set, or is there this active living with God, or is it more individual? Next, it was too personal. Sorry. Elizabeth, what intrigues you the most about your character?
I think that she's this. There's so much that she goes through, and she's been at the lowest lows, and then she's redeemed. And then in season 2, she has a few episodes where she kind of returns to her old ways after being triggered in a lot of ways and reminded of her past, and kind of returns to her fear that used to
a relapse.
Yeah. And I thought that was a very realistic depiction of it happens to so many people. You can be saved and still sort of return to old vices or old fears. And I think this show, you know, she returns back to the camp, and she speaks with Jesus again and kind of admits to him, like, I can't live up to this. I can't repay you. I owe so much to you, and I failed. I broke again. And there's the response to that from Jesus is so loving and so forgiving, and he reminds her that God just wants her heart. He just wants her heart, and that, you know, she reminds me that we're all kind of broken and we are all going to make mistakes. We're just human. And we can't be perfect. And that the least we can do is give our heart, you know, and there's this relief in that, you know, even me as just as an actress, like, I don't think I can live up to playing this role. And that's okay, but all I have to do is just like bring my heart to the character, and so there's all these really sweet moments in her scenes that have really touched me and remind me that we're just human, and you know,
Yeah.
that's
2
you
minutes.
know.
And then for little James, what's the most intriguing about that role for you?
I think it's been tackling the relationship between faith and healing, because there are so many different frames of thought with that, and I think that it's a role that can challenge viewers, people that are of the mindset that in order to be healed, all you need to do is pray hard enough or have enough faith. And then on the flip side, Christians that have disabilities, or anyone of faith really, anyone in general that has a disability that watches the show that feels like they don't belong, or like they're unworthy, or they're not good enough. All of these things that I personally have struggled with, and getting to play little James and getting to express my own frustrations and fears and insecurities through him has helped me come to terms with a lot and learn to accept myself, and to start to view those perceived weaknesses as a strength. And I think that that's a really powerful message, and I really hope that that's what people can take from little James as well.
Yeah, because that's very intriguing to me, that little James is around Jesus, but he doesn't get healed. Or
Yeah, and we address it too. So
Yeah.
in season 3.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very curious about it. Last question. Why do Christians need to go watch The Chosen?
I don't know if they need to, but I think they will enjoy it. I think there's so much media these days that is so violent and overwhelming and triggering and traumatizing that it's really hard to find entertainment or media that is uplifting and hopeful and compassionate in a way that is not cheesy, in a way that is honest and authentic and real. And so I think that Christians, you know, will enjoy this show because they'll be able to relate with a lot of these things and recognize these stories that they already know kind of come to life in action.
Yeah.
And you know, it's all you know, based in the Gospels, so they'll find a lot of familiarity with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Absolutely, thank you.
Of course, thank you.